Friends, thank you. Thank you for your warm welcome. You're a laugh. And I had the cheek to say last year that this conference was flat. Colleagues, I'm delighted to welcome you all back to Le Mans House Hotel for our annual autumn conference, and to have already enjoyed the different contributions from colleagues this morning. It's wonderful to see so many new members here, as well as seeing some long-standing and faithful friends. It's a privilege to stand here before you today as the leader of the Democratic Unionist Party. I do so not only with pride in the position I hold, but with a deep sense of responsibility. Responsibility to you, to our people, and to this country we love, to the union we are tasked to promote for generations to come. I stand here as your leader, yes, but also as a husband and as a father to Reuben. Yeah. And as someone bound up in the same hopes and the same challenges faced by every family across Northern Ireland. And that matters, because leadership without connection to those you lead is empty. Leadership without understanding is hollow. And leadership without a vision is destined to fail. Today I want to share with you my vision for unionism, my determination to lead with grit and with courage, and my belief in the opportunities that lie ahead for our people if we're willing to grasp them with open arms. Colleagues, at the heart of politics lies trust. Without it, nothing can endure. But with it, we can build, deliver, and protect on the things that matter most. Trust was broken when the Irish Sea border was imposed in the face of unanimous unionist opposition. Our party said it was wrong. We said it was undemocratic, and we said it weakened the union. We stood alone in Parliament when others stayed silent, or some who rail against it now voted for it then. It was previous Conservative government that produced the Windsor Framework, and we said clearly that it did not go far enough. It was the last government that made commitments to restore Northern Ireland's place within the UK internal market, to remove barriers to trade, and to secure our full constitutional rights. And colleagues, it is this current Labour government's failure to implement many of those commitments, their failure. My colleagues, whether we like it or not, we must face up to the reality that that experience has impacted on trust in this party too. I regret that some of our commentary then did not spell out plainly the difference between what had been resolved, what could be achieved through faithful government implementation, and the fundamental challenges that remain. Our choice was not between perfection or betrayal. It was between progress or paralysis. We chose to return to Stormont to deliver for our people, to keep unionism strong where it matters most, in a position of leadership where we can affect change. Sadly, the protocol arrangements are still there. The internal border in our own country will never be acceptable, and colleagues, it must go. it was right to pursue a better deal for unionism and for Northern Ireland in the last Parliament? Was it? Well, undoubtedly, yes. Did we achieve all that we set out to achieve? The answer to that has to be no. We have more to do. Ironically, however, it's the strategy of our most harshest critics is simply to hand back power to all of those who delivered the protocol and the Irish sea border. That will not work. We continue to raise the realities of the internal border on people and businesses here in Northern Ireland, and we will continue to campaign against them. We will continue to challenge this government on their broken pledges in this Parliament for the removal of EU law from our own country. What may seem impossible today, in time, with hard work, and with a constant spotlight on the unsustainable nature of the protocol, colleagues, we will succeed. But we must also deal with the daily realities people face. Where devolution gives us the power to make a difference, we act. In the past, when others in unionism faced pressure, they turned inward. They fought amongst themselves. This party will not take that path. Instead, we stand united, and we have used the last 12 months to engage with people throughout Northern Ireland. We have gone out into our communities through days of action, knocking on doors, listening, standing shoulder to shoulder with people and families that we give voice to. Our work of rebuilding trust does not stop. Throughout the autumn and winter, I will be again travelling to villages, towns, and cities in every part of Northern Ireland to meet with people and to hear their views. Our team want to sit down with you, face to face, to hear your aspirations and your frustrations, your ideas and your vision. In this, I will be joined by our Deputy Leader, our Michelle. Michelle, thank you. Thank you for stepping up to the role of Deputy Leader of our party. Thank you for your commitment to this party and for the hard work that you're engaged in. And thank you most profoundly and importantly for the personal support you give to me. Thank you. Conference politics should never be about politicians talking down to people. It should be about leaders listening to the people they are privileged to serve. For me, that's not political strategy, it's a personal commitment. As a leader, I will never retreat behind a desk in Belfast or Westminster. I'm not in this position for this position's sake. I believe in service, and I'm elected in this office to serve our people. I want our pro-union movement to be reconnected, to be reinvigorated and rebuilt from the ground up. And I will lead that renewal. When unionism is divided, our opponents prosper. That is why, under my leadership, we will be strong, but we will not be selfish. No party and no personality should ever trump our shared strategic aims. As we look forward to 2027 and beyond, unionist parties must reflect the desire of our pro-union people to see us working together, maximising the number of seats in both the Assembly and in councils throughout Northern Ireland. As in previous elections, the DUP has proven that it stands ready to act in the wider interests of the pro-union cause. Our collective voice must be strong. and we must not allow vote splitting to cost unionism seats in the Assembly or in councils throughout Northern Ireland. We must plot this course, not from a position of weakness, but from a position of strength. In no circumstances do I envisage the breakup of our union in my lifetime. But colleagues, we have to recognise that that's not ambitious enough. In the last 25 years, nationalism's electoral support has barely wavered. We can be confident that Michelle O'Neill's prediction of a border poll by 2030 will melt away faster than her credibility as the self-proclaimed First Minister for all. But we cannot be complacent. We must be working and planning for the long term. I welcome the significant efforts of pro-union stakeholder groups in this endeavour. Let me say clearly again, there is no inevitability of a united Ireland. We must always be building support for the pro-union case, and to make that case, as a successor of mine once said, the thinking person's obvious choice. We must also continue to ensure decisions are taken by locally elected representatives, and that we make Northern Ireland work for everyone. And we will continue to expose the myth that nationalists would welcome unionists in a new or a so-called united Ireland. The banquet boycotting First Minister thinks Londonderry should be a no-go area for members of our armed forces. Well, I have news for her. We will be a proud voice for unionists in the Northwest. Nor will we let Dublin off the hook for their institutional intolerance of Protestant culture and heritage. The Irish Republic is a country where candidates for their highest office are vilified because of their religion and their family's connection to the Orange institution. The Irish government claims neutrality, but it lectures the world on human rights. And even then, they're happy to rely under the protection of the might of our armed forces and NATO for security. It should not surprise us that Simon Harris and others make moral pronouncements on Israel's just war in Gaza. This is a state that was a proxy for Irish Republican terrorism for decades, harbouring perpetrators, refusing to extradite them, failing to give answers to their victims. Is it any great shock that they want to be pen pals with Hamas? Their hypocrisy is breathtaking, but it's only surpassed and made worse because it's been rewarded by our own Secretary of State. Shame. Rather than challenging government on its own failure to investigate its sinister role in our troubled past, the UK government seems to want to placate them, to hand them greater influence over legacy cases here. And all the while, the Irish government takes our government to court. It would be laughable if it wasn't so serious. Colleagues, I don't need to remind you. The DUP will always defend the honourable service and sacrifice of members of our security forces. It is this party that delivered a Troubles pension. So far, £106 million has been provided to those whose lives were irreparably changed through no fault of their own. Conference, the memory of those who made peace and progress possible, will continue to spur us to make Northern Ireland work. Our determination to promote the Union goes hand in hand with our determination to deliver for the people of Northern Ireland, because one without the other will never be enough. I want the DUP to be rooted not only in constitutional principle, but in everyday reality for people's lives. We cannot afford to be one-dimensional. The Union is strengthened when its benefits are real, visible, and experienced in the daily lives of all the people of Northern Ireland. When people ask what difference the DUP make in government, then we must be prepared to give them the answer. The DUP delivers. Now, I know the Assembly is often criticised for a lack of delivery. And yes, that criticism is justified in many areas. But let us be clear, that's not the record of DUP departments. It was the DUP that introduced new childcare support to help working families throughout Northern Ireland. It was the DUP that delivered funding for football and for bands, for community halls, investing in the life of our towns and villages. It was the DUP that brought forward the Sign Language Bill and funding for winter fuel. It's the DUP moving ahead in reforming education, delivering better outcomes, and driving forward record investment in education special needs. These aren't theories. These aren't empty promises. These are the real actions that touch the lives of families and households and communities right throughout Northern Ireland. That's DUP delivery. And so I want to thank Emma and Gordon and Paul and Pam for their tireless work over the last year. We cannot and we will not be held accountable for the failure of other parties to deliver. Sinn Féin is tasked with building and maintaining infrastructure, but their minister is on a road to nowhere with a £3 billion black hole, or should that be pothole, for road maintenance. But she still finds enough money for a sign in a bus station that nobody wants and nobody needs. She represents failure. And that's the stark contrast. When DUP ministers hold office, things happen. When others hold office, things stall. And I'm delighted that in the Assembly we have a team of energetic and talented MLAs who will carry the mantle for communities irrespective of the post they hold. Yes, the Assembly is far from perfect. But friends, let me say this plainly. Those who argue we're better off with Starmer than with Stormont cannot point to a single area where policy would be better because of a Labour government. Throughout Northern Ireland, families are trying to make ends meet. Parents worrying about their children's education. Young and old facing health battles. There are people across Northern Ireland wondering whether their voice is heard at all, whilst others would give Northern Ireland's newest world champion, Lewis Crocker, a run for his money by ducking and weaving the hard decisions. The DUP is in the thick of it. We're at the centre of government, and we are striving to meet the needs of ordinary people. As a father, I also think about my son Reuben, and I'm motivated by the kind of future I want him to inherit. I want him to go to a school that inspires curiosity and excellence. I want him to have opportunities in sport, in culture, to live a life in Northern Ireland that offers him everything he needs to be the best vision of himself. I want him to grow up in a society that values hard work, rewards ambition, and cares for the vulnerable. I'm no different than any other parent in Northern Ireland. Those visions and aspirations are not unique to me. They are the same hopes of every mother and every father in this province. And colleagues, unionism must speak to those hopes. It must be authentic without being condescending. It must show that we are not insulated from the challenges of life, but we as a party share in them. So colleagues, let me speak plainly about one of those challenges: immigration. In communities across Northern Ireland, we are hearing the same message again and again. People are concerned about the impact of illegal and uncontrolled immigration on housing and on schools, on jobs, and on the cohesion of many of our own neighbourhoods. That's not racism. That's not prejudice. It's not intolerance. That's the lived experience of the people we represent. And it's a reality that Sinn Féin and the Alliance Party would rather ignore or dismiss. This party will not dismiss the concerns of the people we serve. We believe in immigration that is fair and controlled, that meets our economic needs but does not overwhelm our working class communities or our frontline services. We will continue to be a voice for communities who feel ignored by others. Consecutive governments have failed to stem illegal immigration, and colleagues, that must change. It needs to change rapidly. Northern Ireland must remain part of the United Kingdom-wide immigration policy, but that policy needs to work. Use of the European Convention on Human Rights to derail the deportation of rejected asylum seekers or those with criminal or dangerous past must be addressed, but in a way that maintains the unity of this country. Proposals should not be pursued if they would separate Northern Ireland at the behest of the European Union, actually making this region a magnet for illegal immigration. And friends, let us be clear, this party stands for common sense, for fairness, for policies rooted in reality and not radical ideology. Questions of gender have captured public attention in recent times. People are crying out for honesty, for clarity, and for common sense from their elected representatives. This party will always show respect for every individual. But respect does not mean surrendering to ideology that we believe is harmful to individuals and to society as a whole. Across the United Kingdom, we have seen attempts to erase the very basics of biology. Attempts that say boys can become girls and girls can become boys. Not through reality, but by the stroke of a pen, by harmful medicine or the pressure of an activist. For us, we unapologetically take the same approach as our Supreme Court, that biologically a boy is a boy and a girl is a girl. Colleagues, that's not prejudice, nor is it intolerance, it's the truth. And let me give you a clear example as to why devolution matters in this debate. When Paul Gavin took action to remove transgender guidance in schools, he did so to protect children, to protect parental rights, and to protect staff. Does anyone honestly believe a Labour minister in London would have taken the very same step? Yet there are some who reel against the Assembly, who sit on the comfort of the backbenches or on social media, and they snipe. They tell us that they're strong on these issues. Yet the outworkings of their approach would be to leave us powerless, with no Assembly, no executive, and no ability to act to stop the things that are harmful to our children. They claim to be strong, colleagues, but they advocate for utter weakness. For us, we don't just talk about protecting children. We use the powers of devolution to do it. Colleagues, that's the difference that this Democratic Unionist Party makes. When others want to shut down debate, we will speak up plainly. When others want to impose ideology, we will promote reality. When others treat common sense as controversial, colleagues, we will wear it as a badge of honour. This party stands for fairness. It stands for truth. And it stands for a society where parents know their children are taught facts, not fantasies. And colleagues, as we look ahead, unionism must recognize the choice that lies before us. Do we embrace devolution, shaping our own future here in Northern Ireland with local ministers accountable to local people? Or will we resign ourselves to de facto Dublin rule from London, with decisions made by those who don't walk in our shoes? Do we build a society rooted in common sense, in fairness, and in opportunity? Or do we allow our future to be dictated by the radical woke ideology of those who sneer at our values, dismiss our traditions, and who undermine the very foundations of our union? That's the choice. Colleagues, that's the crossroad. And that is why this party and what we stand for matters today more than ever before. Friends, I believe in Northern Ireland. I believe in our people. And I believe in the strength of the union. I believe that with grit and with courage, with determination, we can build a better future for all our children and grandchildren. I believe in a Northern Ireland where every child can dream without limit, where every family can thrive in safety and security, where every community can flourish with confidence and with pride. I believe in a union that is stronger, not weaker, because unionism has the courage to stand firm, the vision to look ahead, and the ability to deliver for the people we serve. That is the path we will tread. That is the purpose that drives me. And that is the invitation I extend to everyone who believes in Northern Ireland as I do, that our best days are not behind us, they are before us. Colleagues, if we are to secure victory through adversity, It has to be because we deserve it. And to deserve it, we must earn the trust of the electorate and demonstrate that our plan will deliver. So let us go forward together with vision and determination, with an unshakable belief in the union we cherish and the future we will build. Thank you.